Hello lovely people, it's nearly the end of the year, so I thought a nice way to sort of round off 2020 would be to do the friendship tag.
Sophie Vlogs.
I was tagged by my lovely friend Charlie. I will leave a link to his channel down below, along with everyone else's channels that I mention in this. Before we dive in, I would just like to say, if my face looks really pink, I'm okay. I gave myself the gift of an allergic reaction this Christmas, so I have the rosiest little cheeks, but we're healing, we're getting there. I'm fine, I just wanted to mention it because I feel very aware of it. It might not be so obvious on video, but I've got little rosy apples going on. So, the friendship tag is essentially a list of prompts that spell out the word friends, and then at the end I will mention some channels that I particularly love. You guys can take it as a tag if you want to, but there's no pressure. It's just sort of like, who are some Booktubey friends that I have? So first up, F, friendship. Name a book with a strong friendship in it. The first book I thought of for this was The Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien. I wasn't sure whether to include it because some of these, like, friendships I would maybe read a little bit stronger, but you don't necessarily have to. I just think there's loads of, like, really strong bonds in this book. Like, obvious one, Frodo and Sam, but equally, like, Merry and Pippin, Legolas and Gimli. I just feel like this is full of a lot of, like, really strong, like, you know, the Fellowship, all of that, like, as soon as I thought of, like, strong friendships in literature, I just thought of this. And it was one of my favourite things about the book. I was a little bit intimidated before I went into it because it's a chunky boy, and I was like, what's it gonna be like? And I understand that Tolkien's writing style's not for everyone, but I just had the best time, and I got really emotional about all of these friendships and all of these people being like in near-death experiences and being like, I wish Pippin was here, or whatever. The other book I thought of was When We Speak of Nothing by Olumide Popoola. It follows these two best friends, Carl and Abu, and it's set in London just before the 2011 riot. The thing that made me think of this is that this book, their friendship is at the core of it, but also their friendship is kind of tested because, which one is it? Carl finds out that his father lives in Nigeria. He travels to Nigeria. He's sort of navigating, like, this newfound family, their reaction to the fact that he's trans, and then also, like, getting involved with, like, activists in Nigeria and becoming aware of, like, this whole other place and the problems that it has. And then on the other side, Abu in London is partly dealing with, like, the slight void that having his best friend not there is, like, has created, but then also, like, these rising tensions, these escalating emotions as the riots happen. And one of my favourite things about this book, I actually really liked this, but one of my favourite aspects of it was the way that this friendship, like, is tested by distance and is tested by, you go off and you have your own life experiences and you come back different, and does your friendship still survive that thing? And I just thought that that friendship at the heart of this was so excellent. So I have not seen a lot of people talk about this, but I thought it was a really, really good book. R is for Real Life, a non-fiction book that you want to read. Once again, I have two. They've both been lent to me. So first of all is Secrets of the Flesh, A Life of Colette by Judith Thurman. I watched the Colette film with Keira Knightley in, and I spent the whole time being like, your husband is a dickhead. But it's made me interested in Colette. I've never read any of her work, which I would like to change that, but equally, my friend lent this to me because we had a chat about the film afterwards, and she was like, I have bought this biography, I haven't read it yet, would you like to read it first? So we're going to read it both, and then we're going to have a nice little chat about it, which will be really good. And then my partner lent me No Logo by Naomi Klein, which is all about, like, branding and logos and brands, the way, like, the language of branding works, but then equally, like, sort of the way that brands try and, like, exploit things like relatability and stuff like this. It's published a while ago, but my partner read it really recently, and he said that it's actually really surprising how much of this is still so relevant. So this is one that I think is going to be quite eye-opening, and I'm hoping that as I read it, it will, like, really make me think a lot about, like, just my everyday interactions with brands, you know. I is for Indie Author, a book by an indie author. I would like to shout out our very own Charles Heathcote. I recently read An Heir to Murder, which is one of his books, and I had, like, the most fun. It's very much like, I'll link the video where I talk about it down below, but it's very much like this cozy little town murder mystery where, like, our main character sort of ends up being somehow involved in this sort of, like, murder investigation. but it's very much like uncovering secrets of the town's past, and one of the things that is why she's able to help uncover this mystery is because, like, all of these things that you kind of just know when you live in a small little place with people, like, some would call it gossip, but actually, like, if you're investigating a mystery, like, it's key information, and these, like, slights and stuff which go back generations and all stuff like that, like, I found that view of, like, the life of this place and how everyone knows each other's business, but that's actually really helpful if you're trying to investigate stuff that goes back generations, you know? I just had a most wonderful time reading it. I definitely want to read more of his work, but yes, so I just thought, hey, you've got to tag your friend, haven't you? E is for Endings, a book where the ending made you scream. I will at some point shut up about this series, but not today. This is the first season by N.K. Jemisin, specifically because this is like a sci-fi fantasy. Well, when you start it, it feels very fantasy, and you have these three different perspectives, and you're going through, and you're sort of like beginning to understand how these perspectives are going to relate to each other and stuff like this. And then there's like this moment at the end where a character says something, and then I suddenly understood why people describe it as a sci-fi fantasy, you know? Until that point, I'd been like, why did I think this was sci-fi? And then, like, information, game changed. And so I just really liked that aspect of it, and that was what made me like be like, I have to read the entire rest of the series, which I have now done, and I also still loved, but like, just very explicitly from this year, this was a moment when I was like, shut the front door. N is for new book, a new book that you can't wait to buy. One that came out this year is I'll Be the One by Lyla Lee, which has the most gorgeous cover. I love the cover of it so much. It brings me such joy every time I see it. Like the yellow and the like girl living her life and like the font and the colours. I love it. I know that it's kind of like, it's this, I don't remember the character's name, but it's this girl who is like a big K-pop fan, and everyone's always been like, oh, you can't be in K-pop, you're too fat for that, and she's gonna like prove them all wrong. I think there's a sapphic love story in it, I'm not entirely sure, but I cannot find it. The only place I've been able to find it available on is Amazon, and I'm trying not to buy books from Amazon, so I've spent this whole year, like every time I have a book voucher, I'm like, shall I get it? And then all the bookshops that I normally buy from just don't have it, so I don't really know what to do. So I'm going to look at that, but I would really like to get my hands on that at some point. One for 2021 is Certain Dark Things by Silvia Moreno Garcia, which was previously published, and I know that it was out of print, and she's made edits and changes to it and stuff, so it's kind of a re-release, but it's also very much like a distinct thing from what it used to be. And it's vampires, and we know that I've been like dipping my toe back into vampires lately, so when that comes out, I can't remember what month it's coming out in, but it is due to come out in 2021, and I'm ready. I'm on it. D is for Dark, a book which has dark themes. I've gone for Under the Pendulum Sun by Jeannette, which is very much not a book for everyone, but I ended up really enjoying it. It's like, as you might see, a novel of the fae. It's very much drawing upon like Victorian era novels, and it's written in a style that's deliberately mimicking that, and for a lot of people this is going to be very slow and they're not going to like it. I loved. It's like this girl who, her brother is like this missionary in Fae, and so she goes to stay with him because she hasn't heard from him in ages and she's worried, and thus begins like this dark gothic creepy thing where it's like there's a lot of just like tension building. It's very evocative of that sort of like Victorian Gothic style with these fae that are like weird dark fae, and she's kind of got to like learn the rules that she needs to know to survive. It goes a bit dark. There was a couple of things about the ending which I have some mixed feelings on, but on the whole I just really enjoyed like the slow building tension and the darkness that is. This is kind of like more my kind of darkness where it's like gothic and blah rather than like horror, you know? S is for Share, which is share the love and tag some of your favourite channels, but there's also a bonus prompt, and I'm just going to do the bonus prompt first. The bonus prompt is show a gift from a friend that's special to you. I don't know if this counts as a gift, but I mean it was given to me and I got to keep it. This is my bouquet from when I was a bridesmaid for my friend's wedding. Her aunt makes these like fabric flowers and stuff, so her aunt made each of us bridesmaids this beautiful bouquet, and it's so gorgeous, and because it's all fake flowers, it will last years and years and years. It already has lasted a few years. And I think it's absolutely lovely, and it sits on top of my bookcase as like a little reminder of that time I got to be my friend's bridesmaid, and I just think it's like absolutely stunning and beautiful, so I wanted to mention that for that. Okay, on to the sharing the love. Everyone I'm about to mention are just like lovely people who often comment on my videos and I often comment on theirs, so I just thought like absolutely no pressure to actually do this tag, but just like a little mention so that you know that I see you and I appreciate you and I love your videos too. First of all, it's Kate at Librocrone. She's recently changed channels, so you may have previously been subscribed to her and not realised that she's changed to a different channel, so just like shouting that out. She's excellent, highly recommend. Bryony at The Indecisive Readers, a lovely egg if ever there was one. Laurel Ann at Insert Book Pun Here, I just find her videos and her whole personality so wonderful. Anna Marie at Actual Spinster, you read like such an interesting variety of books, and most of them I've never heard of and never read, but I adore hearing your thoughts on them. And Olivia Savannah at Olivia's Catastrophe, who I recently mentioned in my autumn favourites, because it continues to be the fact that you read such a wonderful array of books and I love hearing your thoughts on them and you have great ideas. So, those are just some people that I wanted to mention. And I just thought I'm gonna do, like, coming up there will be a run of books that's like, my 2021 goals, my end of year book haul, stuff like this. There'll be like an end of year rush happening in a minute, but I just wanted to do like a nice little friendly video. I've been tagged in a bunch of tags that I haven't done yet, so I will be working my way through them. But yes, I just wanted to, I just thought it would be a nice way to end the year, wouldn't it? That's all of the lovely prompts for this tag. I would love to know what your answers to some of these would be, if you want to let me know, or like give me recommendations or anything like that, always appreciate it. But otherwise, I will see you next time for something different.